Hi, this is Otto Penzler. I'm at the Mysterious Bookshop in Manhattan, and this is our weekly conversation about mysteries and collecting first editions in the genre. The man I want to talk about today is possibly somebody that you've never heard of, although he is a seminal figure in the history of espionage fiction. William Le Queux. He's a British writer whose father was French, his mother was English, and he was born in England and is always regarded as a British writer. He wrote probably more than 100 books, many of which feature the evil French and evil France and their threat of invading England. He wrote several books on the subject of invasions by the French, and then the French and the Russians, and then later changed his villains to the Germans as World War I approached. His first book came out about 1890, not about 1890, it came out in 1890. And he worked until the mid-20s. He was also a diplomat, although somebody who hated the French and the Russians and the Germans so much might have not been a very successful diplomat. He basically invented all of the forms that were known or used in espionage fiction until Eric Ambler came along and made it into a modern kind of story. Because he wrote so many books, he changed publishers all the time. There was no loyalty, apparently, either by him or by his publisher, because I have a little stack of books in front of me, and virtually all of them are by different publishers. And normally, it is not difficult for me to show you exactly how to tell a first edition of whatever the author is and whatever the publisher is. It's a little harder with Le Queux because some of the books were published so badly that I can't 100% guarantee that certain books are in fact first editions. For example, let me show you. You talk about cheap publishing. Look at these. Shoddy material, ugly books. These were published by the London Daily Mail. By everything that I could tell, and that every reference book shows me, these are in fact first printings because there is nothing to the contrary anywhere. But there's the London Daily Mail title page, and then on the copyright page, there is nothing to the contrary. Now, because they're so poorly made and so ugly, a lot of people aren't particularly interested in collecting them, in spite of their tremendous significance in the history of crime fiction, of espionage fiction. Here's another one from the London Daily Mail. Same thing, copyright page has no information on it. When I first acquired this, what was a very large collection of William Le Queux, much of which is already sold, I did as much research as I possibly could to determine if they were accurately described as first editions. And I found that most of the books that I have here are not anywhere listed on the web, on the internet, in any place. They're essentially unknown. Scholars know that the books exist, but there are no copies of most of these books available, and haven't been for many, many years in all the research books that I did. So they're rare, they're important, but they're ugly. They are just ugly. Here's another London Daily Mail. This is a major production for them compared to these books. Much better condition. Again, though, it's the secrets of Potsdam. These are all about the inner lives of the court of the Kaiser, talking about how evil they all are. Yet again, the same if you look on the title page and then the copyright page, nothing to suggest that there's a reprint of any kind. So that London Daily Mail should be ashamed of itself for producing books like that. Autumn's Press is another one of his many publishers. Autumn's actually published an Agatha Christie, The Hound of Death, and Society Intrigues I've known. These are mostly short story collections. He wrote a large number of short stories and collected them in book form. And again, nothing on the copyright page just suggests that it's not a first printing. And Autumn's does, in fact, show second printings when there is a second printing. I think this is also Autumn's. They're, again, so cheaply made that they didn't last because of the cheap paper and the very low quality of materials used. These books fell apart and they're just almost unknown. Here's more revelations of spying, and again the title page with no information suggesting a reprint. Now I'll skip ahead to show you a really good book. This is Mysteries of a Great City, nicely produced by a real publishing company, Hodder and Stoughton, and this is a Queen's Quorum title. So at one point, Ellery Queen, Frederick Dane, when he was putting this collection together, recognized the significance of William Le Queux and used one of his short story collections in Queen's Quorum. It is excessively rare. This is the only copy I've ever seen, and it's a review copy. There's a review slip pasted in, and most of the books are $25 or $35. This one is $850 because it's such a rare Queen's Quorum title, and a lot of people collect the Queen's Quorum. If you've been watching the show, I've mentioned it several times, but if you haven't, I'll tell you quickly again. This was the great collector Frederick Dane, half of the Ellery Queen team, put together this list of what he regarded as the 106 most important short story collections in the history of the genre. And this is on the list. So getting on that list is really a great honor. It's Hodder and Stoughton, and that's their title page. And Hodder and Stoughton was quite predictable. They would always show a later printing if there was in fact a later printing, and of course there is not here. And the fact that it's an advanced review copy is further indication, of course, that it's a first printing. This is John Long, a different publisher again. John Long published Ruth Rendell in later years, and they are very, very accurate about showing first printings or showing reprints rather. And again, the title page and then the copyright page showing no reprint issues. And again, this is Love Intrigues of the Kaiser's Sons. They're almost all of his books are anti-French, Russian, or German, mainly warning England about the possibility of invasion. And because of it, he is often credited with predicting World War I, because his best-selling book was a book called The Invasion of England, I think is the title, if I recall, published around 1905. And since he was threatening people with this so many times, eventually turned out to be true. Now here is Ward Lock, a major publisher for many, many years, especially in the pre-World War II era. And they were helpful by putting a date on the title page. And so if you have decent reference books or know enough, you can find that the date on the title page is incorrect. This is a reprint. It was originally published in 1895, and the title page has 1902. Stolen Souls, that's a novel. And then, obviously, a collection of mystery stories called Mysteries, taking all the suspense out of what kind of a book you were going to get. This also is Wardlock. And again, there's the date on the title page, and it's the correct date. This is when the book was published for the first time, and this is a handsome book. As time went by, certain publishers produced a little bit better books, a $75 book, as opposed to the cheaper books, which are just as rare and maybe rarer than this, but they're just so ugly. There's just no getting around it, that they're priced inexpensively. That's William le Queux. Thanks for watching.